If you are anything like me, then you have been seeing the leaks for the Oblivion remaster for months now, and you've ignored every single one of them. Nah, just too good to be true, I thought. Well, slap my fanny and call me Jiggalag. It was real the whole time. Now, my initial idea was to go through and kill every NPC again, like I did almost exactly 2 years ago, but A, I don't want to, and B, I really don't want to. So I settled on the subject of today's video: can you beat Oblivion Remastered with only your fists? I'm sure many of you saw the thumbnail and thought Mitten Squad pulled a Jesus, but sorry gang, it's only me. I'm actually going to take a minute or two to talk about Mitten Squad though, and say some things I've been meaning to say for a long time, but just haven't really found the opportunity to. But if you want to just jump right into the challenge, all good, no hard feelings. A little hard feelings. No, I'm just kidding. But you can jump to the timestamp on screen now. For the rest of you though, I kind of want to start by explaining who Mitten Squad was. Mitten Squad, or Paul as he liked to go by, was a YouTuber who made challenge videos mostly centered around beating games like Fallout or Skyrim or a little Oblivion in silly ways. With a terrible weapon only, with a specific attack only, or even with only his bare hands like we're doing today. Now, I realize talking about this all right now is kind of random, considering it's been well over a year now since he tragically passed away, but if you've watched any of my videos, then it should be pretty clear that Paul's content had a major impact on me. I've known since I was like 12 that I wanted to be a YouTuber. Shoutouts those Minecraft YouTubers from like 2012. But when I was a teenager, I couldn't figure out exactly what it was that I wanted to make. That was until I found the Mitten Squad channel. Paul's videos, every single one of them, were a masterclass in telling a comedic and interesting story through the medium of video games. So, as I started working on my own content, I took huge inspiration from him and essentially tried to use his format for my own videos. Funny enough, we actually even had some of the same video ideas. I was working on a video where I beat Skyrim with only my fists, and boom, he beats Fallout with only his fists. I started streaming a challenge back in 2020 where I beat Far Cry 5 with only the shovel, and boom, he releases a video where he does the exact same thing. Not that he was copying me, obviously that's not how that works, he wouldn't have even had the time to put a video together, but it was actually kind of encouraging that he and I thought a lot alike in that way, and it made me feel like I was doing the right thing and on the right track. I didn't know Paul, and I know Paul had almost definitely never seen any of my videos, but I do wish I could thank him for being such an inspiration to me and helping guide my entire channel and by proxy like my life, because this is what I do now. So today I'm gonna try to honor him by kicking this challenge's ass. And hey, I know he can't beat me to this one. So, if you watched a lot of Mitten Squad, then you know he'd probably laugh at that. Okay, gang, that's enough rambling. I appreciate if you listened to all that. I'm only a little hurt if you didn't. But ladies, gentlemen, and those in between, let's get started. I remember booting into Oblivion for the first time and genuinely laughing out loud at how ridiculous the create a character looked, but I would say they are in much better standings this time around. For my character, I did my absolute best to create Rocky, and I know it's not very good, but like you can kinda tell it's him, right? My name's Dumpy Balboa, a Nord, I like Nords, I'm a simple man, who has some pretty rough hand-to-hand stats. Wait, there's a stat for that? Man, Oblivion is so sick. After making my character, I got jeered by this stupid dick across the way. He thinks he's better than me, but like, dude, look where you are. I was really relieved early on to see that the voice acting is pretty much all the same. I think they literally just reused the audio from the original game, which is great. And I know Oblivion has like a grand total of like 6 different voice actors for the vast majority of the cast, but I do genuinely kind of like that. It makes everyone feel familiar, I guess. Anywho, we've got a lot to do, so let's get into the action. First of all, the movement speed in Oblivion is ridiculously fast. Like, in tight quarters, I feel like I might be actually too quick. Second of all, look how people's heads snap when you punch them. Dude, that did not get old for a second throughout this playthrough. It hit every single time. Speaking of hit, I'm gonna have to be careful about how much I get hit because I am not allowed to wear any chest armor or helmets. I mean, Rocky didn't wear that stuff. Why should I get to? Gloves, pants, shoes, shoes, and jewelry are all fair game though. As we progressed through the sewers a bit, the Emperor eventually asked me to choose a sign. This is a cool way of being able to give your character some special advantages, and for this challenge, I think the Lord sign should be a solid pick. I know I'm not really wearing armor, but that means buffing the armor rating that I do have might be helpful, and resisting magic attacks is gonna make it easier for me to get up close and personal with my enemies. The Emperor is slain very shortly thereafter, but I've got no time to mourn because now I need to choose a class. Now, another awesome thing about Oblivion is that you can actually say fuck this list and create your own class. I did so, making sure to include hand-to-hand, block, athletics, acrobatics, and some other non-combat skills, which I deemed the Boxer. I love that you can do that. That's super sick. What I didn't realize at that moment is that because I chose hand-to-hand as a major skill, by the time I was into the sewers proper, my hand-to-hand had leveled up from 5 to 33. And look, you can dodge. I mean, it's not incredibly useful, but I think it's kind of cool. But here we go, folks. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's take a good look at the world. Yeah, that's tight. Although, what happened to my frames? Okay, so I actually kind of go on here to talk about the performance issues I was having, and I kind of berated the game for being very poorly optimized, which is true, but I realized after recording this video that I had an issue with my graphics card drivers, and a clean install kind of fixed all the issues and really improved my performance. So if you're somebody like me who was having a really hard time running this game, maybe try to give yourself a clean drivers install, which it'll reset your settings and stuff, which is inconvenient, but it'll let you play the game probably. And if you do it and reset it for nothing, then that sucks. Sorry. All right, let's go back to punching people. Back to having a good time though. I pretty much made a beeline straight for the Jofster so that I could give him the Amulet of Kings like the Emperor asked me to. Man, he's got some very blue eyes. I feel like he's kind of staring at my soul. Well, Joffrey then, of course, sent me on a different mission because in the Elder Scrolls series, you are somehow the strongest and most capable person in all the lands, but at the same time, you are also everybody's bitch. A nice little quality of life thing for Oblivion, though, is that you can pretty much fast travel to any major city right off the bat, but I figured I'd do my best to avoid that for now because Rocky didn't get to be the GOAT of boxing by fast traveling. On the way, I found Weatherly in shambles. I'm sure there's a story there, but yeah, I'm busy. I remembered how bad I am at Oblivion lockpicking. I never quite figured that out, and learned that I can't punch ghosts. That might be a problem. I did eventually reach Kvatch though, and immediately sprung into action to close that Oblivion gate. Ooh, I thought I could jump into it like a Mario 64 painting. Here, wait, I got this. Sweet, there we go. The Oblivion realm looks really sick, and even though I got a little lost and confused, I fought through a few hordes of Daedra before finding where I needed to be. I grabbed the sigil stone, jumped back through the portal, and... Wait, did I die? Man, I am really not good at this realm hopping nonsense. After exiting the portal without dying, I worked side by side with the guards to clear out some of the stragglers. That led us to the chapel where I met the heir to the Empire, Martin? Dude, what happened to you? Yeah, so I hate to jump in here again, but I kind of went on a tirade about how Martin is like an ugly, greasy, goblin-looking freak, and I also dropped some like competitive Smash Brothers specific insults, which I don't think anybody's gonna get. So I'm gonna go for something else this time. I think Martin looks like he waits in the book section at a Walmart for women to approach, and when they come around him, he like jumps right on them. Not literally jumps right on them, but like metaphorically. And he asks them, oh, what's your favorite book? What do you like to read? And, you know, they're just trying to live their lives. And if they don't want to talk to him, he gets like really upset about it and makes a whole scene. And then, you know, security's got to take him out. And then he's back the next day doing the same thing. Is that incredibly oddly specific? Yes. But look at him. It's not wrong, right? All right, Martin. I'll make fun of him again later, but I felt like I needed to step in. Anywho, it is my job to get Martin's stinky ass safely out of Kvatch, and after doing a couple more rounds of fighting, I successfully did so. Martin and I met up with Joffrey, who was under attack by some agents of the Mythic Dawn.
I don't know. I think they're right behind me.
The same assassins who killed the Emperor, and then we took a ride to the Cloud Ruler Temple. Martin and I joined the Blades, and I was sent out on yet another mission. This one took me to the Imperial City, and I've gotta say, I feel like Oblivion is really good at giving things a sense of scale. Like, I know that, or I guess I've heard that, canonically, the Imperial City is supposed to be much bigger than its in-game counterpart, but honestly, I think Imperial City feels pretty damn big. I met up with Boris, that's how Joffrey says it, inside a tavern. Boris was the guard of the Emperor, and he's looking to pay the Mythic Dawn back for what they did. Thankfully, they've come right to us, and this assassin gets assassinated. What we need to do now is collect 4 different books that should lead us to where the Mythic Dawn are hiding. The first 2 were handed to me, but the third one took a little convincing to get. But the 4th book was going to be the most difficult to get by far, because Boris and I had to meet with a Mythic Dawn agent in the sewers. Usually Boris does the talking here, but I wanted to give it a shot myself this time. Unfortunately, I think he kind of fucked it up by getting seen, and the Mythic Dawn attacked. At least it wasn't my fault. We beat them up, got the 4th volume, and then I got lost in the sewers. Again. I did that same thing before. The books lead you to find a map on a wall in the city, which is sick, but you know what's even more sick? The arena. Yeah, I know, I only have to beat the main quest to succeed in this challenge, but there's so many good side quests and other quest lines that I think it's okay for us to take some breaks here and there. The arena quest line is pretty straightforward. It's basically just gladiator matches. What? Dude, what is this animation? What the hell? You go into the arena, you fight someone to the death, and after winning 3 fights, you rank up. So after the first 3, I became a brawler. I did 3 more fights, and now I'm a bloodletter. 3 more fights that were all really easy for some reason, and I'm a myrmidon. I tried a fight in 3rd person just for the hell of it, and I personally am not a fan. Back to 1st person, up to fight 12, and after winning that one, I was deemed a warrior. It was after that fight that I took a minute to talk to the current reigning champ known as the Grey Prince. He asks if I can help him out with something, and he's a nice guy, so I oblige. He needs me to go and find proof of his royal heritage, and after fighting through some baddies, I eventually found a journal that explained everything. Problem is, and I really should have read it before I gave it to him, it reveals that the Grey Prince is actually a vampire, and this revelation really bums him out. Like, really bums him out. Sorry, man. I just wanted to help. Well, back to fighting, I continued soaring through the ranks. I was promoted to a gladiator, to a hero, and eventually to a contender for the championship. I challenged the Grey Prince, we met inside the arena, and he refused to fight me. He just stood there and begged me to kill him. I tried to use console commands to make him fight back, but he wouldn't. I didn't know what else to do, so I struck the poor bastard down, earning me the title of champion. Bummer. At least I earned some fans. Or a fan.
Wow, you're the grand champion. I saw your fight against the Grey Prince. You're the best. Can I follow you around? I won't get in the way.
Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
I need to get back to the main quest, but I have seen online that you can stand and watch these knuckleheads box, and you'll get a boost to your hand-to-hand skill. I watched, and after getting pretty discouraged, oh shit, no way! Wow, they really make you work for it. Well, something else these guys got is a chest over here with some good fighting wristbands inside. Not only do I not have any lockpicks though, I also suck at picking locks. So I took it upon myself to obtain the key in a different way. I got the key, opened the box, took the bands of Quang Lao, got the hell out of that city, hid the bands in a different box, got arrested, paid my fine, and then picked the bands back up where I had left them, so now I've got the wristbands and I'm no longer a criminal. I don't always have the best ideas, but that worked out pretty good. Like I said though, let's get through more of the main quest. I've got to infiltrate the Mythic Dawn, and to do so, I had to give up all my stuff. Thankfully though, after learning about Mankar Cameron's Realm of Paradise and then stealing the Xarxes, I think it's called, I realized that even with literally no items, I'm still a lean, mean fisting machine. I mean, that's the challenge anyways, right? So this worked great for me. I mowed down the veritable army of cultists inside this cave, and then brought that silly named book to Martin. Fuck, is he ugly, man. Martin told me that to reach Mankar's weirdo land, we need a Daedric artifact. The one he recommends getting is Azura's Star. I traveled to the Shrine of Azura, offered up some glow dust, and then, by her command, put some of her, now crazed, followers down. This was pretty tough, honestly. One of the first really good challenges I faced thus far. Anyways, Azura gave me her star, I brought it to Martin, and then Joffrey had something for me to do. Son of a bitch, man. Am I the only one who works around here? He asked me to travel to Bruma and teach the guards there how to close an Oblivion Gate. After a lesson on Oblivion Gates for Dummies, they were satisfied and I ran back to Joffrey. And it is here that I did something that I did not know you could do. In the Every NPC video, I talked about how it felt ridiculous that they made you go close 8 Oblivion Gates.
I do like the idea of the Oblivion Gates, but I don't think that f***ing 8 of them were necessary.
This time around, I did not do that. Joffrey asked me to go around the major cities and talk to their leaders, which must eventually lead to the task of closing all those gates. But at the same time, Martin needed me to go fetch him some armor. I must have done Joffrey's quest first in that video because this time I got the armor for Martin, that lazy dick, and we just kind of moved on. So yeah, I missed out on going through a lot of the gates, but frankly, I would have just complained about it the whole time anyways, so I'm not too upset. What I am upset about is Martin throwing another bone for me like I'm a fucking dog. This time he needed me to get him some stupid magic stone, and while it is incredibly satisfying to uppercut skeletons' heads off, I'm getting pretty tired of the fetch questing. I don't really remember what that stone was even for, honestly, but once we had it, we went and did something completely unrelated to it. We allowed the Daedra to open a great Oblivion Gate. Not that we really could have stopped them, and they sent me inside to shut that big boy down. This mission is timed, so I parkoured around, totally didn't fall off something and had to reload, totally didn't die to a trap, and totally didn't die after grabbing the Great Sigil Stone again. None of that happened. Back on the outside, I've just gotta show you.
Long burn the dragon fires. Someone's been. Now, set your fire loose. Help! Murder!
What? Dude, what the fuck just happened? Jeez, man, I need a break. Let's do some more side quests. A quest line I remember really liking was the Fighters Guild. After officially joining the guild, my first mission is already pretty interesting. This lady has rats in her basement, but that's not the problem. The problem is that there are mountain lions killing her pet rats. To find the source of those mountain lions, I followed Pinnaris outside the city.
If they're out here, they'll be in this area.
Yeah, man, I'd say so. Well, turns out the rat lady's bitch neighbor was putting meat outside of rat lady's house, and I caught her red-handed. You can keep it a secret and get a boost to acrobatics, I think, but I like to tell the truth, and I was rewarded with a boost to my speechcraft. Look at that, kids. It does pay to be honest. Okay, now, there's a lot more that goes into the Fighters Guild. Way more than I remembered, so we'd better fly through it. I had to wait inside this guy's shop overnight and wait for some robbers to come, which they did, and I beat them to death. I had to deliver some weapons to a cave and then help the people with those weapons kill some goblins. I had to pick up the slack for this asshole Maglier, who defaulted on his contract, which was cartoonishly easy, by the way. I had to get rid of some drunks who were mad about the Blackwood Company taking all their jobs. We'll talk more about that later. I paid off the debt of this lady's dad to avoid having to go grab him from his kidnappers. I had to bring Maglier on a field trip, like mom telling me I have to bring my stupid shithead little brother to go smoke crack with my friends. I had to take another guy on a field trip, but this guy was much nicer. I had to do another job for Maglier because he decided he was gonna go be a deadbeat for the Blackwood Company now, which, fine by me, get the hell out of my hair. Another member of the guild and I went out and killed Azani Blackheart. Don't really remember why, to be honest, but Get fucked. I finally hit 100 strength, which is sick. Go me. I helped this slow-ass lady through a cave. I killed some escaped prisoners. I saw this guy running outside and chased him down just to find out that it was my man Maik. What's up, dude? I got a little sidetracked and beat up a horde of homeless clones to save some lady's daughter who they had trapped in a cage, but don't worry, it all worked out. I saved Rug Dump's daughter by 3v1ing some ogres. I killed an entire cave full of trolls. I retrieved a stone that some bandit stole and then subsequently lost. And then it was time for me to wrap things up by taking out the Blackwood Company once and for all. To do so, I kidnapped one of their top dogs. Had to go through one hell of a battle to reach him, by the way. And then I tried to beat some information out of him.
Long live the Blackwood Company.
Classic Oblivion. That didn't really work out, so I next had to infiltrate the Blackwood Company myself, and I joined them on a mission. They made me drink some weird juice though, and I blacked out. When I came to, I was in a huge battle against some goblins. We slaughtered them all, and then suddenly I felt a cold, sharp sense of dread. I remembered something about that quest. Those weren't goblins. I visited that same town the next day and found the residents slain. That juice just made me see them as goblins, and yeah, I'll get some revenge for you guys, don't worry. I stormed into the Blackwood Company's headquarters, I beat the ever-loving shit out of anyone in my line of sight, leaving no trace of life in the entire place, and then eventually ran into Magli again. I respect the balls it took for him to challenge the person who had been doing all the jobs he couldn't handle up to that point. Balls or stupidity. Yeah, probably more of the second one. The cherry on top of it all, though, was when I broke into their juice factory and destroyed their juice machine. No more juice for them. After all was said and done, I was promoted to the leader of the Fighters Guild. Wow, what a fucking ride that was. And you know what? While I'm all juiced up still, why don't we go put an end to that main quest? To get the final act rolling, I returned to that sleazeball Martin, and he opened a portal to Mankar Cameron's Pedo Island. I don't know why I said that. It's not a pedo island. I ran inside, and man, there are some strong guys here. The Frost Atronax, the Daedroths, this one guy who really thought he could take me on, get owned, and then eventually this room of like 4 Daedra. They're pretty damn strong, but I had the help of some random guy, and we were barely able to fend them all off. The train kept on rolling, this time charging straight into Mankar Cameron's abode. I beat his siblings to death, or children, don't care, but they were somehow returned to his side when I entered his boss room. I didn't waste much time jaw-jacking though, because I had some jaws to jack. That sounded cooler in my head. Mankar was a real problem for me the first time I played Oblivion, but I've learned something very valuable this time around. Bare hands are the strongest weapon in the game. No, not literally, but the amount of damage you can output just by punching people is pretty insane. You attack really fast, you don't use that much stamina, it's great. Mankar stood no chance, and with him dead, I retrieved the Amulet of Kings. I forgot to mention they stole that like 8 pages ago, my bad. And I gave it to its rightful owner. With the amulet in hand, Martin and I traveled once again to the Imperial City. We were trying to formulate a plot to stop the Daedra from opening more portals, I think, I wasn't really listening, but we had officially run out of time. Gates had opened inside the city, and this time Mehrunes Dagon himself was there. Man, he somehow looks more and less intimidating than he used to. Well, we are shit out of luck. That is, until Martin decides to get off his lazy ass and do the coolest thing I've ever seen. He uses the amulet to turn himself into a giant golden dragon, and with his newfound godly form, he destroys the Daedric Prince, putting a stop to this whole Oblivion nonsense. But folks, that's pretty much it. It turns out Oblivion with your fists is really easy. It was a lot of fun, and I'd certainly recommend you guys at home to, if you are playing the remaster, give the barehanded build a shot. It's really strong. I want to thank you guys all for watching, and let you know that if you have any ideas for Oblivion challenges, or any other game challenges really, is fine, let me know. I like to hear what you guys think, and I have seen some pretty good ideas out there, which is awesome. And I know I've never talked about this in a video before, but in my videos, in most of them at least, I hide a little message in there somewhere that says like, you know, comment blank if you see this, and I think if you found the one in this video, you should probably like work for the CIA or something. I don't know, that would be incredibly impressive. And then of course, I also want to thank anyone who listened to my Mitten Squad rant at the start of the video. I felt like it was important to get that off my chest and to help explain why I felt comfortable using his style of thumbnail and title. So if you were upset by that initially, hopefully that isn't like a problem now. It was just kind of to pay homage to him. I don't know. It made sense to me at least. But that's it. Subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed. Those things really do help the channel, and we're almost at 200K. But yeah, thank you again for watching. GG's everybody.